I was drafted. I was going to enlist in order to get into the same naval special organization that my oldest brother got into. Family talked me out of it, so I went to Baltimore, Maryland, and worked in the B-26 factory until I was drafted. It was all so foreign, and of course not being familiar with Army life, it was a radical change. Well, wasn't just for me, it was for everybody who was there. But we survived it, and I remember there was one occasion they had to test you as far as your ability to stand up to potential danger. And they put me on guard duty at the water tower, the big tanks for the base. And so they tested me to see whether I would stand up to orders. So an officer came up in a Jeep, was going to go in. He wasn't allowed. And I told him I was sorry, but he couldn't go in. Here I am, Shakespeare, trying to tell an officer, you can't do that. I couldn't take some of the food they were giving us, apparently, and it upset me so that I couldn't operate. In fact, I landed in Italy, and they put me in a aid station and kept me there for, I don't know, about a week. And they sent me to the front lines, and it recurred there, and they finally said, well, we can't send you up to the front, so we'll put you over in the communications group. And so I stayed there. My father was a contractor, carpenter from World War I, veteran. I carried his Bible through World War II. It's a little cloth covered about so big a square, and got his name in the front of it and my name right after when it was. It was one of the frontline platoons, and their radio's gone bad. So I took the radio and started up the hill. I'm just trudging along up the path, and all of a sudden somebody said, "Yo, get down, you'll bring fire on us." And I looked over to my left, and there was a guy sitting there. I thought he was asleep, and he was dead. Just sitting there, just like that. And that was my introduction to, and I soon learned that keep my head down.
Yes, sir.
I guess one of the most important things would be when they bombed the Abbey. I was on the mountain outside the Abbey.
And where was that Abbey at?
It was close to Venafro. It was a monstrous abbey, beautiful place. And I could throw a rock from my foxhole and hit the wall surrounding it. But the Germans were using it as an observation, and we were losing so many people that they decided to finally just bomb it. So the morning that they bombed it, they pulled us back off the mountain across the river to, I think the name was Venafro, and we stood outside and watched them blow that place to bits. And they came over in waves of, I don't recall now whether they were B-17s or B-24s or maybe both, but they did a job on it. It's strange because you get hardened to it to a certain extent. For example, there was a German that was out in the field that was moaning and crying, and I was in my foxhole, and I thought, if I go out there, I'm risking life and limb. So I didn't go, but it always worried me, because And after, the next day you didn't hear him. He was, apparently he either died or got better. But I wasn't alone. I know there were plenty of people around that could have gone out there too. But there was shells coming in. There was no place to take chances. Well, Bone Star was, that was a surprise to me because I didn't think we did anything that justified that kind of action. But we were on Anzio, and the Germans had the high ground, and they had complete observation of any movement on the beachhead, if you will. So all of our forces were in old buildings or bombed buildings or shelled buildings, but they could hide. So when we lost communication with one of our four platoons, somebody had to go fix it. And two of us volunteered. And had to go across about a mile of open field under observation. If the Germans had been looking, we'd have been prime targets, but apparently they were relaxed and weren't paying any attention, so we were lucky enough to get all the way to the front line, to the trenches, and fix the problem. They restricted what you could send home. And then you get into a safe area or go back and rest, what we call rest area. They pull you off the front lines and take you back, and you get to bathe and shave and clean up and have some decent food rather than C rations or K rations. And if you had anything that you wanted to send home, there were mail privileges there. Well, you weren't allowed to send guns per se, but I had acquired a couple of 25 caliber revolvers. They had a fold-up trigger, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this through, but I'm going to try. So I took 2 German helmets. I put those inside one of them, put the other one on, and taped them together. they got through. I'd gone fishing in the Alps and had caught some fish. Well, I didn't care much for fish. I traded it to a farmer for butter, because you couldn't get butter. They had that grease that they call butter in cans, little things like that. And so I traded my fish for butter. Being on the front lines where it was exciting all the time. And then you come home and it's all blah. And then I tried to go to college, and that was so boring. I said, I can't take this. So I got a job, went to work. And it was a difficult adjustment.